Hello guys, welcome back to the channel. So in today's tutorial, we're going to continue this part 2 of our introduction to data analysis with Excel series for beginners. So in this tutorial, we're going to go ahead and continue preparing our report. So in the last tutorial, we've been able to do data cleaning, data engineering, feature engineering and all that. Okay, so today we're going to continue with from where we left off. We're going to go ahead and do some more stuff. So we did data loading, data modeling, the feature engineering in the last tutorial. So in today's tutorial, we're going to continue from where we left off. So let's jump into it. So I'm just going to go ahead into my Excel, which I have open right here. So I want to open up my query, so you can see that my connection queries don't exist here. So I'm going to go here and simply type in connection and queries. Okay, so you can see those queries right here. Okay, if you want to go to the manage table, you can just go ahead and click on pivot table, power pivot, and then go into manage, and then you access this table right here, which is where we left off from last time. Okay, so once we have all that done, I want to go ahead and do some more stuff before we continue with this video. The first thing I want to do is generate the year column. So I want to generate a year column right here. So I'm going to go ahead and simply say year. And once I have the year created, I'm going to go ahead and simply add it here. So I say year and year of, we want the order date. Okay, we want the year from the order date and press enter. So once we do that, we generate the year, we have the quarter and all that information. Okay, so that will be enough for this time. So let me just go ahead and click on save right here. So once I have that saved, I'm going to go ahead and close it up. So once I have it closed up right there, what I want to go ahead and do at this time is simply go into my my create view right here. So I'm going to go into my Excel right here, which I have my Excel right here. So what I want to do is generate the we have generated the pricing already, the buy price already. So if you go in here again, let's go back in here just for a second. And if you look here, we have generated the, let me just say order details. Let's see what we have. We have this one. Okay, we don't have some of the details that we need right here. So I want to generate a couple more of this column. So the first thing I want to do is generate the column to calculate the buy price. Okay, so then the column to calculate the buy price and then the selling price. Okay, so I'm going to go in here and just simply say this is going to be total underscore buy underscore price. So what's this total buy price going to be? So total buy price, you're going to take the price each multiplied by the quantity ordered. So we're going to go ahead and simply say equals to, and I can even just bring this down a bit just to make this clearer for you guys. So I'm going to simply zoom in a bit, and I'm going to go ahead and simply get the quantity ordered. So I'm going to say quantity. So let me just go back in here and simply go ahead and say, I'll just click OK for now. Just say quantity ordered. So quantity ordered, and I'm going to take quantity order multiplied by the price each. So it's going to be price each to get the total buy price, right? So sorry, we need to get the actual, not the total buy price, by the total selling price. So I have to change this column name. Okay, so total, not buy price, but selling price. Okay, so it's going to be selling right there. So change this to be selling price. Okay, now I want to go ahead and get the buy price from another table that we have. So I'm going to go ahead in here and I'm going to say equals to, I'm going to say related, and from related we want to get the buy price. So buy price, so product is in products table, and then the buy price column. So once I have that, I'm going to go ahead and press enter. It's going to generate for me the buy price column right here. So I can go ahead and actually rename it to be buy. Sorry, let me just change that to be buy price. Okay, so good. So once we have the buy price and we have the selling price, now we want to calculate the total buy price, and the total buy price is going to be the buy price multiplied by the quantity ordered, just like what we have for this selling price, total selling price. So then say total underscore buy price, and this is just going to be a sum of the product of two columns. Let me just maximize this, and I'm going to go ahead and simply say the quantity ordered multiplied by the quantity ordered multiplied by the buy price, right? So let me just not lose track of that. So the quantity ordered multiplied by the buy price, and I'm going to press enter. And once I press enter, now you have the buy price column also generated. So we have selling price, the buy price, and all that information. So you can use all this information to calculate net profit, cost of goods sold, and all that. Okay, so using this data, I have some assumptions that I made because I don't have any access to any documentation on this data that details things in depth from a business perspective. So I'm just going to use my own assumptions. So you might have your own assumptions and you might think my assumptions are wrong, but these are just my assumptions that I'm using. Okay, So for example, I'm just going to use the simple formula for profit. The profit is going to be the total, the buy price, sorry, the selling price minus buy price. That's it, how to get profit. So that's basically what I'm gonna be doing. Okay, so I have some assumptions that I'm going to be using. Okay, so once I have it, I'm going to press the save on this and then close this window. So once I have that closed, what I want to go ahead and do, you can go ahead and generate the, so you have looked at how we generate the selling price, the total buy price, and all that information. So what I want to go ahead and do is, first of all, I want to, now we jump into the point of using pivot table. So I promise you'll be using pivot table in this series. So let's go ahead and just show you what a pivot table is. So basically, this is what a pivot table is. A pivot table is basically data summarization and aggregation tool. So if you want to summarize data and aggregate, find aggregates of data, you'll probably be using a pivot table, and that's basically what a pivot table is. Okay, so we'll look at all these formulas for calculating profit, but basically now we understand what a pivot table is. It's just an aggregation, data aggregation and summarization tool that you can use. And all Power BI tool, all BI tools like Power BI, Tableau, and all these other tools, all these BI tools are all built on the basis of Power BI, pivot table. Okay, so that's basically what a pivot table is, and pivot tables are really, really important that you understand in case you want to do data analysis. Because from, if you know how pivot table work, you can easily learn Excel, you can easily learn Power BI in any other BI tool. So it's very important that you understand how pivot tables work. Okay, so this tutorial will explain to you all the basic stuff you need to know about pivot tables. Okay, so about the formula calculations for the profit, to just say profit is going to be buy price minus the selling price. These are my assumptions that you're going to have. Okay, we are not including the freight cost and other cost of goods sold like COGS. You're just going to say profit is simply buy price minus sell price, and that's it. Okay, that's what you're going to be using. So once I have that assumption now out of the way, now we can come back in here, and what I want to do is we're going to go ahead and create a pivot table. So how do you create a pivot table? Go to insert, go to pivot table, and then say from data model. You maybe added this to model. We say load to, and we added it to models at on the first video. So just go ahead, make sure that these are inside of a model. So a data model. So let's go insert pivot table and then say from data model, and then say select a place where you want to insert it. So let me just say let me just cancel this for now. I want to just delete all this. I don't want all this here. Okay, so once I have that cleared, I'm going to go ahead and say insert pivot table from data model, and then say I am going to insert it here. Okay, let me just say this place. That's fine, and then simply click OK. So that's basically has inserted for me a pivot table. So once you look, you can see you have a pivot table fields. If you don't have these fields, you can just go here and type in fields, and that should show you the pivot table fields, which is this one right here. Okay, so now this is now our pivot table. We can also change the name of the pivot table if you want to. So you can say let's say sales report. Okay, let's say sales report pivot table. Okay, so you can call it any name you want, but basically I'm just gonna give it that name. So once you have it, you can even get ahead and pull this to bring it on the side, because I'm on a smaller screen. So if you guys also following along with a smaller screen, this is how you can bring this on the side to make it look bigger. So you can see we have all the different tables that we have. Okay, all the different tables on our database, customer details, orders, and all that, payments, product line, all the tables are all here. Okay, so what we want to do, let me just show you a simple demonstration of pivot table. So let me just say I want to show each customer in which country they come from. So let me just bring in here customer, and then I want to classify based on which country they come from. So you can see if I insert customer, you can see the customers right here, all the customers. Now I want to categorize them based on the country. So I just drag country and place it under customer. So you can see we have the information right there. So each customer comes from a specific country, right? So if you can expand this more, you'll be able to see the information more. Okay, actually I have to country and then customer like this. So this is what I want to do. So I want the country first, and then the customer from each customer from that country. So country and then customer. So that's basically a pivot table. So you can see how pivot tables are really powerful and can help us to analyze data. So let's say that I also want to generate, let's say, the total sales made to each customer. So I can just go ahead here and get the total sales, and I can place it right here. And now you can see the total sales made to each individual customer. So total selling price basically. Okay, so you can generate all that information if you want to. You can see how it's easy to generate all that information using pivot table. You can also bring total by price, and let me just go ahead and let's say remove this, and you can just keep it simple. So you can see total by price right here and all that information, right? So That's basically how you can work with pivot tables. Okay, so there are a lot much more pivot table. We can also add filters and other stuff like that, but this is just a quick introduction to pivot tables. So don't worry about pivot tables. We'll go on more onto it. Okay, so let me just remove this right here. I also want to remove this. So you just left click it, and then this option pops up, and you can say remove field, just like that. That's simple as that. So let's go ahead and add that the cost of goods, so which is just this field right here that we have right here, right? So once we have that done, you can also go ahead and do some data validation and other stuff like that. But before we can do some data validation and to make sure that this data is actually correct, what you can simply do is you can also do this by using you can also do this by using something called DAX in basically BI tools. What is DAX? Okay, so let me just bring it in here. So DAX stands for data analysis or data analytics expression. Okay, so it's a formula language used in Power BI, pivot tables, data analysis services in Microsoft Excel and other tools, Microsoft tools. Okay, so that's what it stands for, DAX, data analysis expression. So that's what DAX is for. I can show you how to also do this, generate this kind of information using DAX. Okay, so you're going to go ahead and let me just show you how to generate this information using DAX. So I want to generate now the total sales using DAX. Okay, so I can just select this one and just remove it for now. So I'm going to go in here into, let me just bring this back here, go into pivot table, and make sure you select not pivot table, power pivot, and then go into measures right here. So we can create a measures. We call this measures in DAX. So I can give my measure a name, and I can select under which table I want to place. So I want to place it under order details table. Okay, and then I want to give it a name. I can call this one total. I can say total by price. Okay, so total by price, and I can enter the formula here. So what I simply want is the sum of total by price. So I'm going to say sum of the total by price. So it's going to be total. So total by price right here, and then simply select the close of this. So if you want to just do for your test completion, you just click on tab once it appears, and then this is going to be of type text, so the category is going to be text. You can change the currency if you want, and you can also change the number of decimal places. I'm going to leave it as default, and I'm simply going. You can also pass in a description if you want to. I'm just going to leave it as default and press OK. So now you can see it has shown me now the sum of sales of each of these categories. So I have that information there. So good. So once we have this information there, let's go ahead and do some data validation, right? So what I mean by data validation, I want to make sure that my data is actually correct, because sometimes you can make an error. So that's what we call data validation. So I want to make sure, I'm going to go ahead and let me go into the, let's say France, right? So I'm going to go into France, the country of France, and I'm going to filter and get this alpha cog. So I'm going to go into manage. So this is alpha cognac. Okay, I hope it's pronounced like that. So once I go in here, I have customers right here, so I can just filter by, and let's say alpha cognac, which is the first column right here, and just select OK. Okay, so once I have that selected, I can go down here and simply pass in the formula, and basically I want to get the sum of this column. So I'm going to say equals to let me just zoom in so that you guys can see. So equals to, and I'm going to say sum, and sum of what? Sum of let me just say parentheses, and then sum of this specific column right here, which is going to be let me just scroll to the buy, which is going to be buy price, right? So the buy price, so total buy price, so total by price, just like that, and then press tab to autocomplete and press enter. So what's the total buy price here? So I can just go ahead and make this a bit bigger, so you can see it is 36,578.2. So let's go ahead and confirm this. So I'm just going to go ahead and simply let me just go ahead and switch back to Excel. So you can see right here it is 36,578.2. So our data is correct. So that's how you get an easy way to do data validation. Okay, so our data is correct in this case. So I'm just gonna save this thing, save this, and then simply exit out of pivot for Excel. So exit out of there, and then make sure that my auto save is back on. Okay, so basically we have validated our data and make sure that the pivot table is generating is actually correct, right? So good. So if I go back in here, I remember I think I applied a filter right here. So I want to go ahead and just remove this filter. Okay, so select all and just remove that filter. Okay, so once I have that out of the way, we can go back in here and see how we can generate another information. So we can go to pivot table. Let's see, we have already validated our data, right? So good. So let's go ahead and add in the net sales column. So what is the net sales column? So net sales column is just going to be the sum of our selling price. That's going to be our net sales. Okay. So back in here to our formula, which we're going to be using. So back in here to the formula, so we have here profit equals to buy price minus minus the selling price. So buy price, can think of it as like the net sales. So net sales minus the cost of sales, and you get back your profit. So there are many definitions of profit, and for example, this is one you can use. So for example, if you want to calculate profit, you can take total revenue, which is net sales minus the total expenses. Again, I'm making some assumptions right here. I'm not including some of the details because I don't have access to this full documentation of this open source database. So those assumptions that you're working with is just that net sales is going to be total selling price. Okay, this is going to be our total revenue minus total expenses. Okay, we assume other expenses as electricity, storage costs, freight, and all that are inclusive. Okay, so that's basically it. So that's basically how you can calculate formula. You can see the how you can calculate profit. You can see the formulas right here. Okay, so once we have that done, I'm going back in here, and I'm going to use I'm going to create a measure, and the measure I'm going to use that measure in here. Okay, so I'm going to create a measure. So to create a measure, I remember we created a measure called total buy price, and you can use that measure in here. So you can see that measure is what is up here. So you can just go ahead and drag and drop it here. Okay, so that's basically it. Let me just remove it because it already exists. So I can just simply go ahead and this measure. I don't know why it's got created from, but I'm just going to go ahead and say manage measures, and I'm going to go ahead and simply delete this measure because we are not using it. Okay, then close off. Okay, so now let's go ahead and add in the net sales measure. So I'm going to go ahead and say measure and then say new measure, or you can do it another way, which is just by saying measure, new measure, and it gives you straight. So it's going to be under the order details table. So order details table, and the measure we're going to call it net sales. So net sales. Okay, so I have net sales there, net sales column, and I'm going to go ahead and add right the formula for you. So this is just going to be the sum of some of the total selling price. So total selling price. So that's basically our net sales, and it's going to be currency USD, and it's going to be two decimal places. So this is going to be the total net sales, is going to be the total sum of our selling prices. Okay, so press OK, and you can see we have the total sales that we made right here. So good. So that's information is generated. So once I have that information generated, I'm going to go ahead and add in the profit and the loss statement. So what's going to be the profit statement? So let me go ahead in here, and I can also go ahead in here, and I'm going to go in here, and I can also change the name of this. So this is going to be total buy price. So total buy price, I don't want total buy price 2, I just want total buy price. Okay, so let's press OK. So we have the total buy price. So the net sales, right, the net total revenue minus the total cost of sales, right? You can also call this cost of sales. Let's actually call it cost of sales. That makes more sense to me. So let's say cost of sales. So cost of sales. Okay, so cost of sales, and you press enter. So now we have it called cost of sales. Okay, so now I'm going to use this cost of sales inform. So net sales minus the cost of sales, we get as a profit or a loss. So if it's a negative value, then it's a loss. If it's a positive value, then it's a profit. So now let's go ahead and create another measure right here. So I'm going to say new measure, and it's going to be under order details table. So that's fine. And I'm going to go ahead and simply say this is going to be the profit loss. Okay, profit or loss, and I'm going to go in here and insert this. So I'm going to go ahead and simply say the net this is going to be the cost of sales. So cost, let's say this is going to be total buy price. Okay, because we call the measure total buy price, unless you want to go ahead and and change that. So total buy price minus the total, sorry, the net sales, that to give us the cost of sales. So this is going to be currency USD and 2 decimal places. Press enter. Now you have the profit or loss statement right here. Okay, so once we have that record being generated, because we take this value, right, sorry, actually I made a mistake on this one. So let me just go ahead and say measure, and then this measure right here, and I want to edit it. So this is going to be actually the net sales minus the cost of sales. So sorry, my bad. So I'm just going to go ahead and delete all this, and it's going to be the net sales minus the total buy price, right? The net sales, like the total revenue minus the total buy price, and you can see that formula right here. So total revenue minus the total expenses. Okay, Okay, so once we have that there, I'm going to be currency USD and 2 decimal places and then press OK and then close this off. Now you can see the profit generated. So we take this value right here minus this value and we get our profit or loss. So if it's a negative value, then it is a loss. So if you scroll down here, you might find some losses. Okay, let's see if you can find any country that made loss. Country with loss. I don't see any at the moment, but yeah, there's no customer that we made a loss with any customer. Okay, so once we have that information done, we have calculated the net or loss profit. Okay, so once we have that done, I'm going to go ahead and calculate the percentage of the profit or the percentage of the loss that we made. Okay, so is that going to be a percentage of the loss or a percentage of the profit? So I'm going to go under measures, add new measure, and this measure is going to be under the total details. Okay, so order details, sorry. So that's fine. You're going to call this one profit or loss percentage. So profit or loss, and then I'm going to use the percentage sign right here. So this is going to be, let me just zoom in into the formula section so that you guys can see. So I'm going to use a formula right here. So I'm going to simply say, I'm going to say the profit, right? So I'm going to say profit divided by the cost of sales, right? The cost of the goods sold. So it's going to be cost of sales, which going to be the total buy price right here, and it's going to be currency. So the total buy price, and this is going to be currency USD of 2 decimal places. Okay, so once I have that done, I'm just simply going to press on OK. So now you can see the percentage profit. So now I want this in percentage. How do I get this in percentage? I can just go in here. I can say measure, or I can go ahead and say measure right here. I can click on this and then say edit, and then I want to be number, and the number is going to be of type percentage. Okay, and then press OK. So now you can see right here, we have the percentage information right here. So the profit in terms of percentage, right? Good. So now we have all that done. You calculated. You have each customer how much profit, the profit percentage of we got from each individual customer. Good. Now let's go back into, and I want to explain to you some more things. So we have, if you look close in our data, we have a field called MSRP. So what is MSRP? MSRP stands for manufacturer suggested retail price. So if you've ever gone to a car dealership, you probably found cars having stickers on them. So what does that signify? So those stickers basically are just the manufacturer suggested retail price, or they're also called sticker prices. So this is a price suggestion of how much a vehicle should be sold, that is given to that is given to the dealership by the manufacturer of the vehicle. So that the dealership can decide to sell the vehicle more than that price or lower than that price, right? So that is called manufacturer suggested retail price. So I want to include this in my analysis to get the information about, for example, if the dealership was selling the vehicles at the price that was suggested by the retail, by the manufacturer, will the company have made profit, or would have the company made losses? So I want to insert that into my data, my analysis. Okay, so let's go ahead and let me show you from which part we can get this information. So I'm going to go into analysis, and instead of my analysis, I'm going to go in here, and I want to add the MSRP. So I'm going to call it the MSRP. So MSRP, okay, RP, and then press enter. And MSRP, I'm going to go ahead and get the calculation. So I'm just zooming a bit for you guys. MSRP is going to be related. So this is going to be related, and this is going to be the MSRP, and I'm going to get MSRP from the products table. You get the MSRP. So press enter, and that's going to go ahead and generate for us the MSRP for each vehicle. So we have the price each at which the vehicle was sold at. So you can see the price each is actually the selling price, and then the MSRP is the suggested price from the retailer or from the manufacturer of how much the vehicle should be sold. So for example, this vehicle was sold at 35.29, and this one was actually the manufacturer actually suggested we sell it at 41.03. So you can see that slight difference. So the vehicle, the dealership can sell above the MSRP, or sometimes below the MSRP. Okay, so sometimes you can find, let's find a scenario where they sold it below the above the MSRP. So you can see they sold it for 94, and the MSRP was, okay, let's find another one, 63. Okay, let me find one which they sold. Okay, this one right here. So the MSRP was, sorry, the selling price, they sold at 32, but the MSRP was 40. So let's find the one which they sold it above the MSRP or something like that. So okay, Yeah, I think it's this one right here. So they sold, okay, they sold actually lower than MSRP, but you can just go to the data and find the scenarios where they sell up lower than the MSRP or higher than the MSRP. And just you can just scroll and just look for that information. So yeah, example, let me see. No, that's not the case. No. Yeah, so you can find situation where they sell it more than the retailer suggestion from from the manufacturer of the vehicle. So sometimes that happens. So that's basically what you call the MSRP. Now I want to calculate the revenue by using the MSRP. Basically, the total selling price using the MSRP. You see down here, up here, you calculated the MSRP by taking the quantity sold by the price, which is the selling price. Now I want to take the quantity multiplied by MSRP to get the MSRP revenue. Okay, so you can see if the business is making loss by not following the MSRP or not. So you can say MSRP, so MSRP and MSRP revenue, just like that. So press enter, and I'm going to go down here and simply in here and then zoom in a bit for you guys. So I'm going to get the quantity ordered multiplied by the MSRP. So MSRP, so MSRP, and then press enter. Okay, so good. So that's generated for me the MSRP. So you can see this is a selling price, which the actual price of selling, and this is the MSRP revenue. If in case the retailer would have sold it at the value suggested by the manufacturer, the retailer would have the dealership have made this much. But in this case they didn't sell it, they sold it lower, so they made this much. Okay. So I want to include this in our analysis as well. So once I have this done, I'm just going to go ahead and click on save. Okay. So once I click on save, right, I'm gonna go ahead and close this up. Okay, so now I want to go ahead and include the MSRP information into our sales right here. So I'm going to go ahead and create a new measure. So new measure, and I'm going to go ahead and say new measure, and this is going to be under the order details table. So I'm going to say MSRP. I'm going to call it MSRP. Let me say MSRP sales. Okay. Okay, so MSRP sales, and I'm going to go ahead into the formula and then add in the formula. So it's going to be equals to the sum of the MSRP. Basically, that's basically what I want to do. MSRP revenue. So MSRP revenue. So close off that, and this is going to be in currency USD 2 decimal place. Press enter. So good. So close. So now if I go down here, so let me just bring this on the side. So if you go under order details table, because this was created under order details table, now you're supposed to see the MSRP sales right here. So I'm going to go ahead and click on it to include it in my details. So you can see the MSRP sales has been included in here. So this was our actual money that we got from selling, but selling at our price that we sold it. But if you follow the MSRP like we sell it at the sticker price of the vehicle, then this is how much you would have made. Okay, so I want to see the difference between the two. So to get it, to get the difference, I'm going to create another column. I'm going to call it basically the profit right here. Basically, I want to get the net sales minus the MSRP to see how much loss or gain you're making. So actually, let's calculate the MSRP profit. Okay, so I want to go ahead and create another column. So I'm going to go for another measure. So new measure, and I'm going to call it this one to be MSRP. I'm going to say MSRP profit. Okay, so this is going to be profit, but based on MSRP. So we're going to get the MSRP sales, right? So MSRP sales, which is this one, minus total sales, so total cost of goods sold. So this is going to be currency USD 2 decimal places. Press OK. So close this, and I'm going to go ahead and bring this back here, and I'm going to go ahead under order details, and I'm going to include this as well. So good. So once I have that done, I'm just going to take this, just bring it back in here. So now you can see I also have the profit by MSRP. So if you sold by MSRP, this is how much profit you would have made. But as selling at the price at which you sold, this is how much profit you made. So I want to go ahead and find the difference between the two, and how much whether making a loss at selling at our own prices, or we are making a gain at selling at our, the retailers on prices. So let me just go ahead and insert in another measure. So insert in a new measure, and it's going to be called I'm going to call it P, profit or loss, right? Profit or loss minus the manufacturer's MSRP profit, or MP profit. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and simply say the profit or loss minus the MSRP profit. Basically, that's what I want to do. So basically, that's it. And then yeah, so once we have that, I can just go ahead and say this is going to be percentage USD 2 decimal places and press OK. So we have that information right there. Okay, so by not selling at the MSRP, it looks like you're making a lot of losses. but these actually are not losses to the company or to the dealership, right? If that was the case, then there would have not been no dealership, because you can see all these are losses. So this manufacturer suggested retail price is not like the, it's not like if you sell below that price you make only losses. No, you actually also make profit in case. Okay, so this is just some suggested values, but if you sell below these suggested values, doesn't mean you're making a loss, like losing. Okay, you might be you might have a negative value, but you're not actually losing actual value. Okay. Okay, so now we have done that. We are good to go. So now what I want to go ahead and do, so you can see all the different information that we have in here. So you can also add in the percentage of this if you want to. That's I can leave that up to you guys if you want to. So what I want to do right now is add in some filters right here. So you can see I have all the countries. So I'm just going to move in. I have all the countries. So I want to add a filter up here so you can filter by country. So I'm going to move country into the filter column. So if you bring this back here, so I just moved country from here into a filter column. So now you can filter by country. I also want to be able to filter by financial year. So I want to go into the order details and then find the financial quarter and also add that. I also want to be able to filter by year. Good. So good. So that's basically the information that I have. So I can filter by year and the financial quarter. Okay. So I want to say, let me say I want only countries from the, so just go in here. I want countries from the, from, let me say, I want countries from only the, or let's say only France. So I can just get that. So I get only countries from France. So I want to get information about only, let's say, the only the first quarter. So I want to get information about only the first quarter. So this is information from the first quarter. Let's say I want to get information about the year. So you can see the year information right here. I want, it's only from 2003 2005. So I want information about 2003 quarter, this quarter one of 2003. I have no record there. So let me just say let's say 2004. Okay, I made some sales in 2004. So that's basically how we can apply that filter and use the filter to filter the data as we want to. So let me just go in here and just say select all this and just say okay, and then here select all this and enable all this. Okay, so even in here I can just go ahead, select all this and then press okay. So basically let's keep this as only one specific country, and let's say this is gonna be France. Okay, so that's basically how you can generate that pivot table. So you can see now our pivot table is now like you're able to generate information from the pivot table. So looking at the diagram that I showed you at the beginning of the video, at the beginning of the series, is you want to generate something very similar to this report right here, this report in the middle, right? So we want to generate something very similar, and you can see we are going closer and closer to that, right? So you can see what we have is not that far from where we want to reach, right? So let's say I can select maybe the quarter information. I want only the fourth quarter, right? And I want to disable all this. Okay, let me just disable this. I want only the fourth quarter, and then click OK right there. So you can see this is all information about the only the fourth quarter. So you can see very close to what we are trying to generate right here. So what is left now is just to formatting, keeping these images, and then we're going to export this as a PDF, which you can present to your business partners or anyone who requested for the report, right? So that's basically it, and this we're going to do it in the next video. So you guys, if you have enjoyed this video so far and you like this content, kindly consider subscribing to this channel for more content like this on data analysis. Again, if you want to learn more about working with data analysis using MySQL, I have a whole series on MySQL on my channel. Okay, if you're also new to programming and you want to learn programming, I also have a whole tutorial on a whole series on Python, so you can learn Python from there. So you need to know all these things to become a data analyst. You need to know like a BI tool, Excel, and MySQL, the topmost, and then finally you know Python, right, or a programming language that can help you to analyze data. So I have videos on Python, MySQL series, and now I'm making this on Excel. Okay, so I also make feature videos on Power BI. So if you guys want to make a video on Power BI, let me know in the comment section below. So basically, this is how you can generate a report. And next we're going to go ahead and learn how to format the report to look like our final desired report like this. Okay, so thanks for watching, and if you're new to the channel, please kindly consider subscribing, liking this video. And if you want to support me further, one easy way you can support me just by liking the video. And if you want to go further, I also have a link where you can buy me coffee. The link is going to be in the description of the video. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next one. Keep safe.